lead guitar, that icon of rock and roll, the lavished instrument, the riffs, the musical, the tones. What if I told you that originated in America?
We're talking about a woman who was light years ahead of her time. She didn't just write the book, she brought the book down from Mount Sinai. Yeah, that big. She brought us into a whole new age. A woman was playing blues on the radio in the 50s. Did you know that? I always liked Mallory. From the time I was a kid, I had this book, and the book talked about Mallory Von-Rothshart, studio musician. That sparked my interest, not just in her, but in music in general.
You had artists, you had blues artists, you had amazing musicians who were doing a certain thing with music, but not on a guitar. You know, Mallory, she knew from an early age the sacrifice that her parents went through to make this family exist on a turnip farm.
You think of Jimi Hendrix, you think of Eric Clapton, you think of Duane Allman, any of these guys, any of these tootin' guitar guys. Mallory did it all. Yeah, all of it before that. She was the first electric guitar prodigy. She started it.
Used to say they'd sing their blues away. Mallory played the blues away on that lead guitar. She made that instrument sing. There was a raw human emotion that poured out of that instrument in a way that had not been done before that. And artists try to mimic that. They try as hard as they can to mimic that sound. They can't get the essence of what she had. There was a rawness. Was it the turnips? I don't know. I can't say for certain, but it certainly was something in her life that caused that to come through that instrument. She made it sing. It sang.
Still going, you know what I mean?
So who is Mallory Von-Rothshart?
Who?
Mallory Von-Rothshart.
Are you deaf? I don't know who she is. I mean, I know everybody from, Elvis, Scott Joplin up for fucking rock and roll, and I know my fucking history, dude. And I never heard of this broad.
I was born sideways, occipito posterior, and that means that my ear basically came out first. And that gave me perfect pitch memory. I can remember every note to any song I ever heard, ever. Dun, dun, da, dun, dun, da, da. Yeah, she started it.
So you're talking about influence on modern songs. So take a big hit like Satisfaction, The Stones. I can't get no, right? Get that? I can't get no. Mallory Von-Rothshart was the first one to ba 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 ba. The song had ba 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 ba. Ba ba ba. She went ba 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 ba. You hear that difference there? That was Von-Rothshart's influence. Oh yeah, that is what Von-Rothshart brought to rock and roll. It's that. Did you hear that syncopated beat that she threw in there with that lead guitar? That hadn't been done before.
What happened to Mallory? No two ways about it. She was abducted by a cruel, crappy producer. Well, that time they were mostly all slime balls, the producers, the promoters, Pretty much all of them.
I mean, so you mean that Richie Blackmore ripped off a rip-off from Carol Silverstein to Mallory Von-Rothshart?
She did exist. She was the foundation for modern rock and roll music. And she deserves to be remembered that way. I have been studying rock and roll music for 35 years. I know the ins and outs. And I know that rock and roll has always been, for some reason, like a man's game. Well, I'm here to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is not.
He Robbie Robertsoned her. So she didn't make any money off of it. She didn't get any credit. And all these dudes who didn't do jack shit are getting credit for it? I mean, if anybody took any of my Jimmy Buffett riffs, I'd be pissed.
I mean, what can you do? What can be done? You know her, I know her, but we are few and far between, little lady. And she's tragic in the sense of a tragic, fragile flower, okay? Now the rest of the world can appreciate it for its smell and its beauty and its color, but unless you're a botanist, unless you're a specialist of 1970s rock and roll, you don't know what flower you're looking at. Fair?
You gotta get your credit for the stuff that you wrote. I mean, if something's coming out of you, you need to take credit for it. Anything that comes out of you is yours and you need credit for it.
I think the best thing I can do here is quote from myself, from one of my books I've written. Once you've immersed yourself in your art, it is nearly impossible to create anything original. I think that pretty much sums it up.